So, I just broke this chair, I think. I guess I'm going to have to stand up. Oh, ouch. Get my knees fixed, so hopefully I can actually, I think the first time I ever talked was at B-Sides Cleveland. I made it through the whole thing standing up. Since then, every time I do a talk, I have to sit down, usually. In fact, there was the year that I spoke at DerbyCon that I had a shot right in the middle of it. I think I got iced and I had to sit down, and it wasn't because of my knees. So anyway, I'd like to thank all of the sponsors of AIDE this year. Jackson Kelly, who is one of our largest sponsors. Marshall University Digital Forensics and Information Assurance. The Marshall University College of Science. Spider Forensics, they're doing a drone forensics presentation here, which is pretty interesting. Drone forensics, cloud forensics, all that is cutting edge. Farrell White and Leg, PPLC, which is here in Huntington, West Virginia. And, of course, we'd like to thank the Marshall University Forensic Science Center, who host us every year. We also like to thank the National White Collar Crime Center. They did an excellent training for us on the dark web. Who attended that? Anyone here? A couple people. Sengress, who gives us books every year, and everyone for coming. So we appreciate it. I wanted to do a quick giveaway. I know I'm supposed to be giving a talk, but I thought I'd get all this out of the way. So what's the question I should ask? This is a Ubico. Do you know what this is? So basically, it's like a USB device. It allows you to use two-factor authentication, which is your fingerprint for websites or your computer or whatever. It's a YubiKey, basically, YubiKey 4. So what's the question? What does AIDE stand for? You're right. Come get your prize. I mean, that was a toss-up. He started talking before you did. Here you go. Congratulations. We also are missing a very important member of the AIDE community, Wayne Zalaski, who was usually here. Zane passed. Wayne passed a few months ago, so it's kind of sad not to have him here. He would always bring us Tudor's Biscuit World. He would get like the big bag of Tudors on his way in. So I'm going to talk about failure. This is called InfoSec by numbers. Mainly I'm going to show you a bunch of numbers of different things. And we're going to talk about how they may or may not be interesting or critical or necessary. So this is the first thing I want to talk about. So you've heard about Jeep hacking, right? Someone hacked Jeep, mainly Charlie Miller and another guy whose name escapes me, hacked Jeep. Were able to apply the brakes, drive it into a ditch. Scary stuff. Does this scare you? You afraid of somebody hacking your car? A lot of people are saying no. You got a computer in your car, right? You realize the computer in your car is completely insecure. And a lot of cars now have Wi-Fi. My mother has a Wi-Fi access point on her car. And it's not hard to figure out or to brute force the access code. In fact, a lot of Chrysler products, especially Jeeps, are being stolen because people are going off laptops, brute forcing the Bluetooth authentication. So, in light of that, are you worried about your car getting hacked? You all just don't care, do you? Do you all own cars from the 1970s or something? So, who would ride in a driverless car? Okay, what about the recent incident where somebody died? Does that scare you? People die in cars all the time, but why is it such huge news? Well, I mean, the question is it the car's fault? Was it the pedestrian's fault? How many people have died in 2018 versus a driverless car? How many people died in car accidents in 2012 through 2017? So is it safer to be riding in a driverless, or even a pedestrian around a driverless car, than it is a person that's driving the car? I agree with you. Well, does this mean that we should stop doing research in driverless cars or to ban them? It's too early, okay. But if you're just going to do a comparison of driverless car accidents against regular car accidents, right now, statistically, driverless cars are safer, even though they're not as widely deployed. There are issues with these numbers, but if you're a decision maker, if you're making laws about driverless cars, would this come up on your radar? If you have constituents writing to you saying these things are dangerous, we need to ban them, what would you think as a legislator or a regulator? That's what you all say, but what would my mom say? What would your mom say?
Do something.
Do something. Fix this, right? Because this is dangerous. This is some more. I think these are all out of order. I'm sorry. Or just in like an afternoon yesterday when we had a cancellation. We have 2 cancellations, so I'm filling in quickly. So let's talk about automation. So how many industrial robots shipped last year? A lot, right? How many self-service kiosks have you encountered? Lots. So if you go into Sheets, you talk to a person to place your order. If you go into Wendy's, well, they just deployed them apparently in Wendy's. So we're starting to see automation. Where is the biggest place that we've seen robots or machines take over for workers? Well, factories is a big one. What's another one? Yeah, we do. I'm specifically talking about coal mining. Who's here is family ever worked in coal mining? I'm a coal miner's son. I'm the first male member of my family to not go into the coal mines. So in 1901, you had literally 500-600 people mining coal because you had to have somebody dig the coal with a pickaxe. You had to have somebody load the coal into a cart, and then you had to have a donkey and a boy that led the cart out of the coal mine. With a continuous miner, now you can mine coal. You can mine coal 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't get tired. It may break down and need maintenance, but it is going to be way more productive to mine coal with machines than it is with people. And eventually what we might see is coal miners at all other than to go in for safety checks. Because with robotics, you can drive that thing around without subjecting people to danger. And that's really a perfect world. So who's ever seen the Terminator? So Skynet. So what was the Terminator? A robot. An industrial robot, right? So if you go out to the Toyota plant in Case Valley, you're going to find that it's full of robots. So how many people have died from robot accidents in 2018? 0. Are industrial robots dangerous? Well, just being a person is dangerous. How many people died last year in crab fishing? How many people died last year coal mining? Timber industry, very, very dangerous. I had I've had people in my family die in coal mines. My grandfather died in coal mines. I have a great uncle who died when a tree fell on him because he was a lumberjack. He worked all night and he slept all day. It's a Python reference. So we have very dangerous things out there. So how many people died in plane accidents last year? If you were to guess how many people died, how many people died? Okay, there's 3 different categories, 3 or 4 different categories. How many people died getting hit by an Uber, driverless Uber? 1. How many people died from robot attack? How many people died in plane crashes? Well, a few, right? I mean, but you're still safer flying. You're safer getting on, going through TSA, and we could debate that. They're going to take things like your nail clippers, your lock picks, sometimes. They're going to take, your sewing scissors. I know people have gotten them taken too. I won't fly with mine. I'm waiting to accidentally put my dad's pocket knife in my pocket, which is one of the only things he really left me, and forget and go to the airport. That would be a very sad day. Most Appalachians, most people in West Virginia, this is the Appalachian Institute of Digital Evidence, so let's talk about pocket knives. I don't carry pocket knives around because infringement's going to take it. So do you think last year was a really dangerous year for airline accidents? No, actually last year was one of the safest years in the history of air travel. So you getting on a plane is actually safer than you driving, and we've heard this before. The statistics bear it out. So how many people flew last year in this room? How many people died in a crash this year in this room? Is anyone here afraid of flying? I used to be terrified of flying. Now, actually, I'd rather fly than drive. And we actually talked about going to conferences like in Nashville. I'm like, can we fly there? The thing is, you can't fly anywhere from here. Tess, who just spoke before me, was flying directly from D.C. and still almost didn't make it here. She got delayed, and we were afraid it was going to get canceled, but she ended up getting here. So who's ever heard of Buckminster Fuller? Who was Buckminster Fuller?
I put the name, but I'm not quite sure. I know who Buckyballs also, but
yeah, Buckyballs. He also built the dome at Epcot. Sounds like an awesome rap name. He built this car called the Dymaxion Car. The Dymaxion Car was a work of engineering, and this is a replica. It's a really interesting car. It only has 3 wheels. It can turn on a dime. It gets excellent gas mileage, and you can get 6 people on the thing. Why do we not see these on the streets? It's fuel efficient, lightweight, with a hinged chassis, a rear-mounted V8 engine. It was one of the first cars with the engine in the back. Front-wheel drive. It can turn 90 degrees. Why do we not see this on the streets today? Because 2 people died in it. 2 people died in it in 1933. And what happened is it got hit by another car. The car itself did not fail. Another person driving another car crashed into it and killed the driver of that car. Actually, Buckminster Fuller actually died in prototype number 2. But 2 people died, and therefore innovation stopped. There was also some people could say that there was people in the car industry that didn't want to see this car be made because it was so reliable that it didn't need to be replaced in 2 or 3 years. So there were people who thought that if they were able to sell this car, the auto industry would fail because there would be no market for used cars. Or if everyone had a standard car, why would you want to go buy another car if you had sort of a standard car that looked like every other car? So there some who say that the industry itself that economics is the reason why this awesome car wasn't made. So let's talk about InfoSec. Let's talk about data breaches. How many data breaches were there last year? A bazillion. We're losing data so fast we can't keep track of it. And, you know, we're all being affected by data breaches. Who's been affected by a data breach in this room? So, you know, and now Facebook is saying that, you know, basically people have been taking Facebook data and scraping it, like all of us apparently now as of this morning. So that in itself, is it a breach? It's probably a breach of trust. There's been this collection of information about us that we knew Facebook was using in order to sell to advertisers. But, you know, did you think that Facebook was labeling you as conservative or liberal, or that based upon your profile what your race is, or based upon your profile if you have children in your home? That's kind of creepy stuff. But apparently it's been collected by people like Cambridge Analytica, who were using it for allegedly, you know, academic purposes, and it was used to try to sway the election. That's problematic, and I believe Mr. Zuckerberg has a appearance before Congress next week to try to explain what happened. But we're losing data all the time. There are medical breaches. There are breaches in credit cards. So, you know, we suck as an industry. We suck as an industry. This is great for digital forensics because we have to have people swoop in and find out who broke in and what was done with that information. But because we suck as an industry, here's healthcare breaches in 2017 in millions. So we can't even keep medical records, things that are regulated under HIPAA, the privacy rule, and the security rule. We can't even keep that safe. We suck as an industry. Are we the Buckminster Fullers of today? We sell these really cool products that's supposed to keep us safe, yet they are not. Here's costs of healthcare breaches in 2017 and millions of dollars. So when you go to the doctor, how much are you paying because they've been breached? Or how much are you paying because they need a new product to keep them safe? Or how much are you paying because they need to have breach insurance? Cyber insurance is the new hotness. Law firms are now actively marketing cyber insurance because there are so many breaches. You know, if you look at breaches compared to car accidents, they're pretty neck and neck at this point, right? So they sell it as another policy. So just because we suck, we can't even defend organizations against insider threat. This is the number of insider threats in companies in 2013, 2014. People who work in the company actually endanger data. So you have people who you entrust with the data who are doing things like posting pictures on Instagram. Hey, check out my new badge. Or passwords that end up in the back for pictures. Or, you know, Tess was talking about the time that she sent out confidential company data by accident. She was really sick that day, and she did a reply all of information that was the financial information of the employees of the company. So this happens through malfeasance. It happens because of errors, human errors. So we can't even protect ourselves from ourselves. And we can't protect ourselves from outsiders. So how do most security breaches happen? Human error. Human error. Misconfiguration and phishing. You know, no one attacks through the firewall anymore. Don't need to. You know, Adrian and I were talking about something he did recently where he couldn't find a way in a assessment. I have these a lot of times. You know how I find a way in? People. We did an assessment this summer for the first time. I do these every year, and for the first time this year, social engineering was in scope. We just didn't social engineer them. We also videotaped it and recorded it, which is something you can go back to your employees and say, we've got, here's the evidence. Here's what went wrong. And that's a much better situation. So, though that we fail over and over and over again, should we stop innovating as an industry? Should we stop training people? Should we stop having security awareness program? I mean, these numbers play out that, we're not doing very well, so what should we do? So the purpose of this talk is that we fail, but that doesn't mean that we stop. So what's the next thing that we should do as an industry? This is the sleepiest bunch of people I've ever talked to in my life. And we're not even really in class. We're at a conference. You are drunk, aren't you? Yes, ma'am. Improving protocols. So what we need to do is we need to work with organizations to increase their security. And a lot of that has to do with making sure that people understand what they can and can't do through policies. And letting them understand there is threat to their information. It bears out in the statistics. I mean, look at these statistics. And we're never going to get beyond. Technology is not going to save us. It's technology and security awareness training. Security awareness training also should not happen once a year. It shouldn't happen when you go sign your forms for your health insurance. It should happen regularly, and it should be part of the culture, of the corporate culture of the organization. So if it's 4th of July, your 4th of July party should have a security awareness component to it. Your newsletter about people who have taken new jobs should have a security awareness component to it. You have to social engineer your employees to be safe. So back to Buckminster, I can't pronounce his damn name. So did he fail? He failed with the car, but he was very successful with other things. And if you don't know about him, I recommend you going and looking up. So let's all go out there in our lives and let's be Buckminster Fuller. That's all I have. Does anyone have any questions? Please don't applaud for that. Yes, Josh, are you going to troll me?
No. Going back to this Buckminster Fuller, the reason I feel like that car didn't take off is because of public perception of that. They felt scared to be driving in that.
Yeah.
That goes back to the Uber situation where really the car crashed into a person, and then this company called AIDE comes out and says, oh, well, Uber disabled the sensors, which now, even in my perception, I'm not going to crawl into an Uber car if I know they're disabling sensors on these to keep them, flowing in a neutral rate.
You're right. I mean, you've got a point. I think what I'm trying to say here is just because you fail in innovation, you shouldn't stop innovating.
Well, we run into that in the network as well. There's controls we have in place.
That people disable, yeah.
And people just don't know how to set them up.
Or they disable them because they're inconvenient. So, yeah, that's true. That's very true. Is there any other questions? Well, thanks. Thanks for coming out. This was hastily done, as you could probably tell. This is probably worse than one of my actual lectures. What? Oh, Jason Scott, I'd like to remind you, final grades aren't in. Awesome. Okay. I'll quit holding hostage now. So what's the